Okay, so today I am in Malacca, recording in from Malacca to all you coconuts. Yes, this is a coconut heaven like Gula Malacca. I don't know how that connected, but I want to take this opportunity to try to pull together the three biggest forces of what affects your personal finances, and some of which you are a little bit familiar, some of which maybe you're not so familiar. So we'll see, because to be fair, one of the biggest force that affects your personal finance is a taboo of discussion, or at least, somehow people are a little bit concerned when they talk about it. So we're gonna pry open these things, and not surprisingly, some things are a little bit more common in the realm of discussion, especially in the personal finance space. And also, because it is common, there's a lot of simplification in some of the ideas, and I find it very, 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 very problematic because when you oversimplify something, you narrow the discussion. And when you narrow the discussion, it limits your understanding of the thing. It becomes the first big force that affects your personal finance. Of course, it's a very thing. It is your personal choice. When I want to talk about personal choices, I want to move beyond the, oh yeah, this is the best way, that's the other way, but really try to focus us on the scripts in your head, right? And that's the discussion that I will continue to have as we develop the podcast. And what is governing your choices, right? You may have decided to choose this thing, but what is behind them? What is your goal of this thing? What are the experiences that you have? And let me give you a simple example. Some people, they believe that they are very risk averse, right? Very risk averse. It's like, I don't invest one. I'm very risk averse, very scared. Which I get it, I get it. And when you probe them further, uh, there's a tendency that it will come towards some horrific experience with investments, not through them, but maybe through their parents or through their extended family, right? And with that sense, I fully understand why, with that kind of experience package, it is written into your mental script to tell you that, oh, investing is very dangerous, investing is not for me, it's for the rich people. What I want you to understand about personal choices and the mental scripts behind that govern your personal choices is, if you want to get clarity of why you do certain things, it is to move away from listening to other people of like, oh, this is better than the other, but really trying to understand, why do you decide this thing? Like, what are your parameters of deciding this is better than the other? This one thing, yeah, your parameters of this is better than the other, what is that? And also, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? And with that, what governs your goals? Why do I have these goals? And to be fair, these are not simple ideas to discover. And the Chinese people actually have a belief. It's very prevalent in the Chinese media. They call it the San Guan, okay, which is a 人生观、世界观, and 价值观, okay, which I translate to your view of life, your worldview, and the values that you carry, in this world. And why is this important? Because pretty much this governs everything that you believe in. Like in the media space, there's a lot of talk about the poor, okay, or at least there's some talk, not a lot, there's some talk about the poor, and there's a general tendency when people talk about the poor, or when the powerful people talk about the poor, it's always oh, we don't want to give too much welfare, at least in Singapore, we don't give too much welfare, if not, they will exploit the system, and they will blah, 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 right? So there's a lot of this thing like, oh, we don't want to give too much money, if not, people will exploit, people become lazy, people don't want to work, people don't want to progress, whatever. But my view, I come from a very different view because of my worldview. I grew up in an environment where I have family members or even extended family members that I would safely put as the poor. Okay, they are poor, and I don't think they're lazy. They work very hard. They work 2 jobs, 3 jobs to try to make ends meet, right? But and of course they take welfare, they take support, they take whatever that they can get. Like, of course, then they need the support. And with that experience, okay, and of course not just one data point, multiple data points as I grew up, I then feel like my worldview is very different. My view of the poor is very different from what the narrative out there is being pushed. Because my view of the poor is, they're struggling, they do whatever they can, and they just try to make it work. If you think about it, what are they really exploiting? What are they exploiting? I don't know what they're exploiting. Like, what can they exploit? If I give them more money, of course they're gonna take. What's wrong? Right? Is that really exploitative? I would argue that the wealthy people are very exploitative, and that is an example of how your worldview then fundamentally informs your manuscripts, your scripts in your mind, then fundamentally informs the decisions that you make, the personal choices that you decide on, right? Should I donate? Should I invest? Should I change a career? Why should I do this? What should I buy a house? Do I need all this? And that is the discussion that I believe more people should have, the ongoing decision of what governs your personal choices. And this will be one of the biggest forces that is affecting your life. But all that being said, that's not the only force. It is very problematic when people want to believe that, everything is me, it's my choice. The reality is it is a lot more complicated than me, myself, and I. Um, there are many other forces, which brings me to the second biggest force that affects your finances, and that is market forces. When I say market forces, people will think of the stock market. It's very, very understandable because there's a whole media platform talking about the stock market every day, right? Bloomberg, CNBC, MSNBC. Every day they talk about it, and it floods the ecosystem. It floods your narrative. Of course, you would think like, oh yeah, it's market is that market, but there are actually many other market. The labor market, the business cycles, even the supermarket is a market, right? And there are market forces everywhere in that sense, right? Even if today China takes over the world or China comes to negotiate on a new social order, they themselves cannot run away from market forces, right? The fundamental difference between the Chinese market and I would say the US or the US market is in the broad idea of what you understand about markets is that the US has a lot more free flow of capital being moved around, right? Where the Chinese has relative higher levels of capital controls, right? They don't allow money to move in and out. They're a little bit stricter on like how much you can borrow, the rates that they're going at, and all that, right? So that's a much longer discussion. But whoever, why you need to learn about market forces is because whoever that leads the world going forward practice market mechanisms, right? They have markets, in their businesses. And if you ask me, it's very hard to move beyond it anymore. And do you really want to move beyond it? It's on some level, or move backward from it, right? On some level, the markets have, created it's some value in it, right? In your life. It does provide some opportunities for people to try new things, explore new stuff. But then the question is, why do I need to learn about the markets? Why should I need to be aware of market forces and market cycles, right? But the reality is, if you are listening to this, right, you're already a self-select group, right? You're more or less, you have a propensity and a desire to try to invest better, make more money, live better, understand what's going on. So of course, you are already you should be inclined to try to understand one of the biggest forces that are affecting your personal finance, directly or indirectly, which is market forces, right? Directly from the supermarket directly affect you. Indirectly, maybe the financial markets, they do affect you also. But okay, beyond that simplistic answer, I think it is really about this whole idea of like just keep swimming, just keep swimming. If you're a little goldfish in the big swath of the ocean and you don't understand what is going on, then if you don't understand what's going on, then all you can do is just keep swimming, right? Which, like it or not, may not be the best thing. Sometimes you just keep swimming because there's only so much you understand. But if you want to have a little bit more control of what is going on and you want to be a little bit smarter and more opportunistic with what is happening out there, it is really fundamentally about understanding market forces. It is like understanding the ocean, right? What is happening out there, right? Too many people talk about learning how to swim, which is like your personal choices, learning how to evaluate stocks, all these things that are within your control, which is great, well and beautiful. But then if you don't understand what is happening in the ocean, which is what is happening in the market, what is the characteristic of the market at this point in time, then it's not very helpful. I do think there is a certain value in trying to understand market forces on many levels. And we are having the extended discussion again and again and again. And if you have any particular part of the market that you don't understand, please let us know. Okay, email us hello@thefinancialcoconut.com, or hopefully this goes as a video. Then you can put in the comment section below. Okay, which brings me to my third biggest force that affects your personal finances. And that is public policies. And this is the part that's extremely taboo in Singapore. People don't want to talk about it. People are afraid to talk about it, which is problematic. And every time there's some sort of fear and every time there's some sort of fear and all that, then you will kind of find me lah. I like to push the boundaries. I go further and discuss a little bit more. And it's not all about policies and politics and all that, like very dirty, the very fact is, CPF, HDB, your GST, your labor policies, all these directly affect your personal finances. And you cannot discount that. Why I want to let you know, it's because I want you to participate more in public policy discussion, right? Like why? Like why maternity got all these leave, now dad's got leave, someone just told me the other day, like, oh, moms can claim health helper care support, for the kid, or whatever support, but the single dads cannot claim. So that's an interesting discussion that we can move towards, right? But all in all, being participatory in public policies and letting your MPs know what you like, reinforcements, right? Like if you think this is good, you reinforce it, you celebrate them, you congratulate them, you give them good things. It adds into their scripts. Right, so same with the government. If they're doing good things, you must cheer them on. It's like, yeah, 这个很好, I like, and then it will reinforce, and then they want to do more. And then maybe that translates into votes, and then they know that, oh, this is what we want, this is what the people want. Okay, then so the people has power. Okay, people have power to sway politics. It's not always just in policies, right? Whether you tag them, you organize, you put up petitions, all these things matter. They are powerful. You don't like that, you also must let know, which I think that one I don't need to tell you lah. If there's one thing I want you to take away in today's episode, is to recognize that, hey, it is not all your fault. Neither is it all your abilities. Because I've seen this too much, right? Where people, they don't do so well, they judge themselds. It's like, 哎呀, 我没有用 meritocracy, I fail, I got no merit. There's also a sacred cow, we can talk another time. But then there's also the other camp of like, yeah, you see, it's me. I'm so amazing. That's why I do what I good. I got big house, big car. My kids do very well. It's all me. It's like, wake up your idea. It is not all you. Both ways. There are many other things that are affecting your lives, affecting your personal finances, and it is okay, to not do well sometimes. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to learn new things and recognize that, oh, it's not all me. But hey, that doesn't mean that it is not your responsibility to try to understand what's going on and also organize and do things to try to influence these other factors. Me vividly telling you these three factors is to give you that clarity of trying to understand what actually affects me directly or indirectly. With that, I hope you have a great day today, and always remember, personal finance can be chill, clear, and sustainable for all.